Good afternoon. A bit earlier than normal today. What's happening, folks? I got some basing to do today. I'm going to be here tonight, so basing. I've got a tournament coming up. I'm playing a bunch of models that I normally don't play. Nellcross, good afternoon. So yeah, we're going to be firing on a bunch of texture paint to start with. I don't know how long I have this afternoon. The kids are out at the moment, so I've got as long as the kids are out, I guess. So, Technical Armageddon Dust. Hello, Phil. Hello, Artie. How are you guys? Seems a bit dark in here today. I think it's maybe just because the sunlight. I think if I dim the sunlight, it will seem brighter. Maybe the sunlight is blowing everything out. First world problems. You can't have sun if you want to do Warhammer, huh? Congratulations for fighting the heat wave. Yeah, it's been warm, hasn't it? Very warm, that's for sure. I'm going to use the modeling tool rather than the paintbrush right now, I think. There's the paintbrush when I need to get a little bit closer to the feet and stuff like that. These bases always need so much texture paint, I feel like. Might need to replenish my supplies of texture paint. So what's everybody working on this weekend? Anyone doing 40k? What is it? What's the projects? Phil, you still painting 30 Assault Intercessors? Do you actually have 20 Death Company on foot, Phil, or are you proxying the Death Company on foot? I must admit, I've been playing Blood Angels for 20-something years, and before this edition, well, and actually including this edition, I have never had any Death Company on foot. Mine have always had jump packs going back all the way. I mean, maybe in like second edition in the early 90s, when I didn't actually have any money, and I couldn't buy jump packs. Maybe that's the one time in my life where my Death Company didn't have jump packs. Beyond that, I've literally never fielded Death Company without jump packs. Since like I said, going back to the mid-90s or something like that. Crazy. But yeah, someone won a tournament with 20 Death Company on foot. Can you believe that? It just shows to go, if you practice anything, you can probably make it work, right? 20 Death Company on foot. I wouldn't have thought that at all. Most of Europe doesn't have air conditioning. I would say Britain doesn't have a lot of air conditioning. I would say Europe might be a bit better. Mind you, right? Like, hotels in Britain have air conditioning. But like regular people in their regular house, no, we don't really have air conditioning. We have central heating, right? Like, we have radiators in every room. But we don't typically have air conditioning. So if you, I don't know this may be a dumb question. If you live in a cold state in America, because there is some states that are cold, like quite northern states, right? Maybe like something like Wisconsin, right? Like, I've seen games of like Green Bay Packers. They're up there, right? And I've seen games in their football stadium where the football stadium is like ice, and the temperature is like -20, -30 degrees Fahrenheit. Like, it's absolutely Baltic. Do those states still have air conditioning? Or do they have like some sort of heating pump or something? Because that's what you get here in the UK. You have a heating pump. Supplies hot water to every room in your house. And yeah, we don't have air conditioning. I have a fan on today, but like, it's, you know, at some point the fan is just blowing around hot air, right? Hi from Texas, where my AC runs 24/7, 9 months out of the year. Dude, I saw that river news in Texas. That's fucking bonkers, man. I hope that not too many people died, but or maybe it wasn't Texas, it was Austin, right? like some river like burst it, like apparently it like burst its banks by like 8 meters in 45 minutes. That just sounds horrific. It seems like every day you turn on the news, man, and I don't really even read a lot of news, but there's always some horrible story going on every day in this world at the moment. It's if it's not natural disasters, it's something else, right? But yeah, in Scotland we do not have air conditioning. I would like to get air conditioning in one room. I would like to, like the adult room where we watch movies of an evening. I would like to get air conditioning in one room. I just don't know how expensive it is, because it's not something that's commonly done here. So I would have to probably have to find some sort of specialist to install an air conditioning unit. I know they've got them in offices, but I think those are like big industrial ones for offices, because I guess if offices don't have air conditioning, then they will be like, you won't get very much work done if it's like 90 degrees in the office, right? Yeah, I just thought I've got like an hour. I'm kid free. I need to get these guys based for this tournament that I've got. This is gonna be a busy month for me. So I thought if I've got an hour, let me just quickly get on, slap on a bunch of texture paint. The texture paint takes ages to dry as well, right? So it's not like you can usually do it in like one sitting. You have to come back once the texture paint is dried and wash it and stuff like that. So my plan was, I've got like a bunch of models that I'm playing at the moment. I've got like 7 models I need to do basing on, so slap on the bases, and then if there's any more time, then see. But I've got a limited amount of time this afternoon without kids. It was in the hills in Texas. It's very sad. Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. I don't know what else to say, but like, as a parent, you when you hear these stories about young children in accidents and stuff like that, it's just brutal, man. I can't imagine it. You know, my heart goes out to them. But yeah, what a horrible piece of news that was. But like I said, at the moment, it seems like every day there's some horrible news. It's been a tough year, I think, as a human race. I had a giant copper imager heating when I was a kid. Yeah, we used to have those like storage heaters that used to what did they do? They used to have like a stone inside them, and the idea was that you used electricity to actually heat up the stone. They were called storage heaters, and then the stone would be very, very hot. Like the stone is essentially inside like the stone's inside like a metal box. And the way you get heating is that they heat up the stone to hundreds of degrees, and the stone just sits in the metal box and radiates that heat back out for the rest of the day or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, air conditioning is a luxury, I think, in Scotland. Maybe not so much maybe not so much Europe though, right? But it's a weird one, right? Because air conditioning can do hot and cold. So you would think it would be fine to have air conditioning here in the UK, because you could get hot and cold out of it. But we just don't have that. We just have central heating, which is like a big boiler that sends hot water through pipes to every room in the house, right? It's probably just more efficient for heating, and we like, I probably only have my central heating off for like 2 or 3 months a year, right? Maybe even less here in Scotland. Like, I would say the central heating is on like almost every day, even through the summer. Because like my house doesn't really get above like 18 degrees centigrade, which I guess would be, I don't know what 18 centigrade is in Fahrenheit. 18 centigrade. So my house sits at like 65. So if it's like 70 or 75 in the house, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's warm. Because on any normal day, it's like 65 in here. I started running 30 Vanguard veterans with all Infernal pistols, led by chaplains with jump packs. Angelic Inheritors attachment is strong with Infernal pistols. Why is this not more common? Well, I think it's probably not common because not many people own 30 Vanguard veterans with Infernal pistols, right? Like, I have 20 Vanguard veterans, but when I made mine, I made them all with like lightning claws and storm shields. You know, like that was the meta when I made mine, and I mean, I probably did magnetize a handful of them, but like when I say a handful of them, like 5 will be magnetized. I think I magnetized everyone that had a chain sword. So I used to run like a few with chain swords to keep the unit cost nice and cheap. So yeah, I just don't think many people have 30 Vanguard veterans with Infernal Pistols, dude. Like, no one's got that. I don't even know how you've got that. Like, were you playing a different edition to us last edition? Because last edition, the way you ran Vanguard veterans was, unless I'm mistaken, because I ran Vanguard veterans last edition quite a bit, and I think the way you ran them last edition was, it was Storm Shields and Lightning Claws, right? Like that was almost the meta way to run the Vanguard veterans, because the one Lightning Claw gave them reroll hits, the Lightning Claw had better AP, the Lightning Claw had better strength. Right? Like maybe you could run 1 or 2 with Infernal Pistols, but I think most people were doing Storm Shield Lightning Claws. I know that when I made a squad of Vanguard veterans in previous editions, I was doing like 10 Storm Shields. Or, sorry, if I was running a 10-man squad, I was doing like 9 Storm Shields. I was doing like... Yeah, 9... My squad had like 9 Storm Shields, probably like 5 Lightning Claws, probably like a couple of Thunder Hammers for the flat 3. Maybe a couple of Chain Swords, so those guys can be the first casualties, nice and cheap. And then, like, the Sergeant, I think the Sergeant could take a Relic Blade. So I usually ran the Sergeant with, like, a Relic Blade and an Infernal Pistol, and figured if everybody else was dead, and it's just the Sergeant left, then he's got a 3 damage weapon, or a 2 damage weapon, sorry, and he's got Pistol. I would love 65 degrees for sleeping. Dude, I get to sleep so easy in this house, it's ridiculous. Last night I was putting my kid to bed, and I lay down with him in his bed, because he's only 3, and he sleeps better if someone, like, starts the night with, you know, like, if you just go read him a story and then give him a cuddle for 5 minutes. And I fell asleep with him, right? Like, it was like 8 o'clock, like, super early in the evening, but, like, I just leaned in for a cuddle with him, and then I fell asleep. And then, like, half an hour later, my wife came through and, like, woke me up and was like, your daughter wants to say goodnight. And I'd been asleep long enough where I actually didn't really want to get up, you know, when you're just getting into good sleep. So it was like, I sort of rolled over hoping that my wife would go away, but at the end she ended up tickling my feet and, like, getting me out of bed. I was like, damn you woman. I was just getting into good sleep. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really want to go to sleep at 8 o'clock, but it's easily done, I guess, right? But I mean, if you're getting value out of 30 Lightning Claw, sorry, like 30 Infernal Pistol Chaplain-led Vanguard veterans, hell yeah, I like it. I just don't think anyone's got that. Probably for the points. The points cost, you like 190 points, 570 points. So it's 570 points for 30 Infernal Pistols. I mean, it's 30 lethal hit, strength 5, lethal hits, +1 to wound. I mean, it's not great against 1 AP stuff. Sorry, it's not great against, like, 2-up armor save stuff, where the 1 AP isn't that great. But overall, I mean, I'd be willing to try that if I had 30 Vanguard veterans all armed with Infernal Pistols. I just don't have any. I think I've got 1 with an Infernal Pistol. All my guys have Storm Shields. I mean, you could say that I'm an idiot for building them all with Storm Shields, but I mean, that was the way that that was the meta way to run them, right? Storm Shields, Lightning Claws. There wasn't a huge other way to run them. Used to be able to give Vanguard veterans 2 chainswords. Yeah, I've got a few made with 2 chainswords, Phil. I actually should transfer them into the Legends cupboard, because I don't think we're going to get that weapon option back. Used to be able to do double chainsword on Company Heroes as well. And Company Heroes were 20 points per model. And when you gave them double chainsword for Blood Angels, like you say, you got a lot of attacks for 20 points per model on those Company Veterans. So I used to run Company Veterans cheap as you could with, like, a few... It was Veterans, or was it something else? But regardless of whatever it was, I think it was Veterans. I I've got a few modelled with the double chainsword variant because it was just like at the end of the list where you just needed to fit something else in, the double chainsword just fitted in perfectly and it was super cheap, right? Damage-wise, 11 Infernal Pistols, while re-rolling ones and ones to wound is amazing, especially in Melter range. You can do 8-9 damage or on average to something toughness 9 or higher. Infernal Pistols are strength 8. I mean, I bet you if you were playing Ultramarines, that would be really, really strong, because Ultramarines can get you +1 to wound for most of the moment. Or even if you were playing Gladius? Do Gladius? No, I don't think Gladius have a shooting strat that gives +1 to wound, do they? I would run them with a few 2 Lightning Claws, and then 2 or 3 with Thunderhammer and SD. Not sure what SD is. Yeah, but I mean, I never usually went for the double Lightning Claws. I usually just went for a single Lightning Claw because I didn't think the double added particularly all that much, and I'd rather... I think it was 1 point... It used to be 1 point more to get the Storm Shield over the double Lightning Claw. So that was usually the way I went with them. Is there any benefit to running Death Company with Jump Pack and Lag, or they're flat out too expensive? I don't think they're too expensive. The trick with Death Company is that they don't have very much survivability, right? So you've got to probably rapid ingress them, and then you've got to make a charge from an obscured position. If your enemy's got strong at Overwatch, then it needs to be from an obscured position. So I mean, the trick, I suppose, with Death Company is to just deliver them into something that they can kill. Yes, they can have jump packs, that's not a problem. I think the problem probably is that they kill something and then they're left in the open. And if Death Company get... I think it's generally a problem with Toughness 4 Marines. It's more of a general problem with Toughness 4 Marines per se than Death Company on themselves. It's just like Toughness 4 Marines in the open get shot off the board very, very quickly. There's plenty of stuff in the meta that will shoot Toughness 4 Marines off the board like their armor is made of paper. You know, like at one point in 40k, power armor was like the greatest thing ever invented, right? Like, but that has long evaporated. Like, power armor is very average, it feels like. They were supposed to be making this edition less lethal. I don't think they have I mean, they came out and said that this edition was going to be less lethal. I disagree with that pretty significantly, actually. Like, you look at like the new Death Guard, you look at like Knights. Those things are not less lethal. I mean, Death Guard are worse than they've ever been. Or stronger than they've ever been, right? I've never had my ass kicked so hard by Death Guard in 10 years of playing than I got kicked by their new codex like a few weeks ago. Like, they just have so much damage. Like, everything it feels like has got sustained, everything's got lethals, everything's got like lance when they need it, and weight of fire. Well, they've got weight of fire as well. Death Guard are a super difficult army for Blood Angels to deal with right now, I think. Yeah, wounding on 5s with reroll 1s is actually only like a 38% chance to wound, I believe. It's not that great. Is it 38? Yeah, because... Oh, maybe it's 39, but yeah, it's... Wounding on 5s reroll 1s is objectively worse than just wounding on 4s. Lamartus is great against Cascodes, apart from that, where the points they cost you could fit so much more MSU into your army. Yeah, I mean, I think Lamartus is obviously great if you're fighting against enemies that do 2 damage. Then your Death Company actually do have survivability, and then they feel great. And if you remember back to the start of the edition, lots of people were winning tournaments with Death Company with the -1 damage, right? Like, that was very common at the start of the edition. Because maybe at the start of the edition the game was a little bit less lethal. We didn't have loads of armies running around with flat 3 damage, just like killing the Marines like they're going out of fashion, I guess. So yeah, I think at the start of the edition, Lamartez was pretty good with Death Company. I mean, it's nice he's gone down in points, and I think it really comes down to if you're playing against an enemy that has a lot of 2 damage stuff. If you're playing against an enemy that has a lot of 2 damage stuff, I think Lamartus is a brilliant pick. The problem is, if you take him to a tournament, you'll play just as many enemies at the moment that have 3 damage stuff, and he's kind of worthless against 3 damage stuff, right? Because the only way he makes any difference against 3 damage is if you roll a double 6 for your Feel No Pain. I mean, I believe the chances of rolling a double 6 on 2 dice, like if you just pick up 2 dice and you want to roll a double 6, it's like 3% chance. Maybe it's slightly more, but just think about it logically. A 1 in 6 chance is 16%, and it's another 1 in 6 chance, which is another 16%, and you've got to times those 2, so it's 16% times 16%. So yeah, it's like, it's there's maybe something more to it than that, but realistically it's like a 3% chance. So if you, let's say you took 10 3 damage attacks on the Death Company, saving one of them with Lamartus, right, like rolling a double 6 and saving one guy, would actually be like, you know, like statistically with the 10 saves, you're probably not statistically gonna, you're not statistically supposed to make that roll. I mean, you probably save 1 on a lucky day, you save 2 on a really lucky day, you save 3, but like, you still, your whole squad's still obliterated for the most part, right? Dante's axe not being 3 damage is a crime. Yeah, I mean, I really thought, based on the fact that Templars last edition got like, you know, remember they got like strikes and sweeps? I really thought that, like, Helbrecht had a 3 damage strike and a 2 damage sweep in 9th edition. I really thought Blood Angels were going to get some characters that had a sweep and a strike profile. Like, I know Dante's got 9 attacks. I'd be quite happy to have less attacks, let's say have 6, if he had a strike, you know? And then give him 10 attacks, but they're 1 damage for a sweep or something, right? Like, 2 damage isn't great, especially when you fight against lots of enemies that have -1 damage, right? Just this week I played Mortarion, and Mortarion's got that stratagem for -1 damage, and I was like, I actually don't really know how you deal with Mortarion and or Death Shroud Terminators with Blood Angels, right? Because you have to get into melee to deal with those things, and the second you get into melee, he's going to -1 damage. And he's probably going to get to do that -1 damage for free, because he's probably hanging out next to Demon Prince. So, like, Dante plus 6 Sangre Guard probably don't even... If Mortarion does -1 damage... Ugh, like, I mean... Dante and 6 Sangre Guard is 39 attacks, right? Hitting on 2s gives us 83% hit rate. So we lose about 8. So we make about 30... Let's just round up numbers, because it's too much to do in my head. Let's say we make 32 hits. Let's say we play Red Rampage, so we get +1 to wound, so we wound him on 4. So we make 16 wound rolls. So statistically, Mortarion should fail half of them. So Dante plus 6 Sangre Guard. Mortarion's going to make 8 fails at 2 damage, right? So he should take 16 damage, but he does have a 5-up Feel No Pain, so that takes a third off of it. So realistically, he takes 11 damage. If he pays the 1 CP for half damage, you're literally telling me that Dante plus 6 Sangre Guard, they're going to do like 5 damage into Mortarion. And then guess what? Mortarion is going to murderize a bunch of them on the return strike. So it's like, you know, I mean, people say like Blood Angels are fine, and, you know, I think we are kind of fine until you have that bad matchup where you're playing against -1 damage. And if you're playing against -1 damage, then we've got big problems, because we don't have any way to mitigate that. I mean, even if there was a stratagem that was like +1 damage on Sangre Guard or +1 damage on Death Company for... I think that's maybe my biggest issue with the Blood Angels Codex this time round is... there's only one way in the Codex to get +1 to wound, which is like the Red Rampage strat, and there's no other strat that buffs melee damage. Like, we are a melee army, and we only have 1 melee strat in each detachment. And I think that's probably, as as big an issue as not having 2 damage. I feel like that's also a pretty big issue, right? Someone at Games Workshop doesn't like Blood Angels. I don't know if they necessarily don't like us, right? Like, that's maybe going a little bit extreme. They're maybe just... our codex came out a year ago now, and the newer codexes definitely have a degree of codex creep inside them, right? Where, like, the new stuff is just stronger. That's always what happens, right? New codexes are always stronger. Like, it's always a thing. I think it's always going to be a thing. I'm not really sure why. Like, my ideal world would be that we release every single codex at the same time at the start of the edition. That's what I would like to see. That's not going to happen because it probably doesn't make a lot of sense from business reasons, because it would be like they would have to release everything, then there's no new releases for 3 years. Well, all the new releases build hype, they build interest, they have people sharing and talking about stuff. So the thing that they do currently works really well, obviously, but does it work well for, like, people that only play 1 or 2 factions like I do? Probably not. Does it work well for competitive players that have 5 armies and Games Workshop knows those players and wants them to buy multiple armies? Yeah, it probably works great, right? So it's a tricky one. I don't know what the correct solution is. I don't think we'll ever get what I want. But I think that's sort of the reality of the situation. Learn, Train, Play says, I played against Death Guard the other day. They're so busted with the amount of things they can do to debuff you. It's hard, man. It's really, like, Blood Angels into Death Guard is so fucking hard. And the reason I know it's hard is because last week I played Death Guard with Blood Angels and got beat, like, what was it, 80 points to 30. I literally lost by 60 points against Death Guard. I played the same Death Guard list this week with my Ultramarines, and I beat them by, like, 11 points. And I'm not suddenly a better player playing Ultramarines. If anything, I'm worse. I've only played 3 games of Ultramarines in the last 5 years. Yeah, 3 games of Ultramarines actually in the last 8 years. I mean, I've played 300 games of Blood Angels. So arguably my Blood Angels play is 10 times better, or I've got 10 times experience, probably even more, 100 times experience playing Blood Angels than I do playing Ultramarines. But Ultramarines were able to beat the Death Guard. Because I think there's 3 things, like, there's 3 reasons, I think I said it yesterday, there's 3 things that make Ultramarines better against Death Guard, right? It's their Oath of Moment gives them +1 to wounds, so they get 2 +1 to wounds. Blood Angels realistically only get 1. They get the reactive move in the Stormlance detachment, which makes it really, really good against Death Guard. And then they don't need to be in contagion range, right? And the contagion range is one of the biggest problems. -1 toughness, -1 to your armor save is a huge debuff that Blood Angels don't handle very well at all. We have Savage Echoes for when it's charged, but it's still not great. Yeah, Savage Echoes is not enough. I think I've played, like, since this codex came out, Phil, I think I've used Savage Echoes twice, and I don't think it's been meaningful either time I've used it. On paper, I thought it was a cool stratagem. I was like, oh, this is cool, like a way to buff things when we get charged. But realistically, I haven't found that it's been all that valuable for me. Yeah, I think that's just the way, like, +1 attack when you're charged is still not as good as the +1 attack and +2 strength you make when you make a charge. So it's like a half charge. I just don't know if it's meaningful enough. When I've used it, I've never felt like it's been massively meaningful. I've used it on Blade Guard in tournaments. I must have used it other times, but yeah, I can't remember a time where I was like, oh my god, Savage Echoes, how useful was that, right? Like, you know, sometimes you feel that with strats. Nelkos, thanks for hanging out. Larry Longshot says, active balance changes outside of points up and down would be great to fix codex creep. Yeah, I'm with you, Larry. I kind of hate that the balance changes we get are points values. Like, I actually want to see data sheets fixed as opposed to points values, right? Like, if something has a bonkers data sheet Rather than just be like, well, we'll just put it up to a point where we can't... Like, take Desolation Marines. They're a good example, right? Like, they just got their points changed to a point where, like, they just sort of can't be played anymore. Lots of people bought Desolation Marines. I mean, I bought 10 of them. I actually bought 15 of them. I sent Chapter Master Valrak 5 of them for free. Because I was like, Valrak, I don't know how I'm playing these Desolation Marines anymore. They've been nerfed so hard. Do you want 5 of them? Dante deserves 3 damage. Yeah, he does. Well, I would prefer Dante got a sweep and a strike over 3 damage. Like, 3 damage with the number of attacks he's got is possibly too strong. I just think he should have had a sweep and a strike, right? Because everything else has got sweeps and strike. Is this G-Man for Blood Angels? This is a Blood Angels Primarch, yeah. Look at this sexy Blood Angels 3D printed shoulder pad I put on him. So this guy could be the Lion, or he could be Gilliman. But I'm playing him as Gilliman to a tournament in like 3 weeks' time. So that's why I'm slapping some texture paint on his base. But yeah, I think that would be a I think that's what 40k needs, is actual data sheet changes when creep comes in and not just points. That's what I would like to see, right? Whether or not we see it, it's another question. 12 months away from 11th edition. Any particular hopes for Blood Angels? Well, I think I already know what's going to be in the 11th edition box set. I can spoil it for you if you want, Andrew. I might not be right. It's 12 months away, but I've heard rumours. Contrast the Blood Angels refresh with the Templars, Angels and Wolves. Someone at GW hates the Blood Angels. Yeah, I don't know what it was about the Blood Angels refresh. It was a little bit underwhelming, wasn't it? I'll be back 1 second. I'm going to empty out this horrible water. Alright, we got the texture paint on. That's like the I don't want to say the problem bit, but it's just the boring bit, maybe. The Sangre Guard killed it? What do you mean they killed it? Like, you like the Sangre Guard refresh, or you didn't like it? I must admit, I'm not a huge fan of the new Sangre Guard. I haven't done anything with my Sangre Guard models. Oh, you mean they were trash? Yeah, I prefer them when they had wings. I'm definitely a preferer of wings. Guys, if you get 2 seconds this afternoon, you could drop a like on the stream. I'd appreciate it. Like I said, I'm not going to be here too long today. Kids are out, but they'll be back soon, I guess. And I'm busy later tonight, so. But yeah, I wanted to get the. It's gonna be weird feeling a Brutalis Dreadnought to a tournament, but I think I'm pretty committed to it. So it's, you know, sometimes it's good to feel something new. I'll get this. I've had this Brutalis Dreadnought since the Strike Force Augustus box, which feels like it was ages ago. I think Strike Force Augustus was it was probably like 3 years ago. So it's going to be nice to actually give it a whirl at a tournament. Even if I don't know if it's going to be mega competitive, it'll still be nice to give it a whirl, right? I saw somebody saying that they were going to run... What was it? It was 3 Brutalises and 3 Death Company Dreadnoughts. Like, I don't know about that. I mean, that's one way of getting 3 damage on Blood Angels, I guess, is all the Dreadnoughts, but it's not really what we were looking for, is it? Wolf players made out like bandits. Wolf players were very I really like the Wolven rules, man. The Wolven with Storm Shields, I think they are super strong. I like them a lot. 3 damage, anti-monster 3-up, anti-vehicle 3-up, Storm Shield on every guy. Like that Wolven squad. That Wolven squad is what I'd kind of hoped the Death Company would be, right? I would trade our Death Company for that Wolven squad all day long, honestly. Space Wolves do have a good number of ways of getting 3 damage in their book as well. Like a lot of their characters had flat 3 damage, which is cool, right? I like the Brutalis on the charge as well. He can do a good number of mortal wounds, that's for sure. You think 160 is fair for the Brutalis? So I'm playing one in my current Ultramarines list. I think it's hard to deliver it to combat. I think for 160 points, I don't know if I feel like it's like, because it's got to run across the board. I think most of the time it try to run across the board, it will get shot and killed, right? Like I think that would be the issue with running a Brutalis. I mean, if you've got a Storm Raven, maybe it works, right? And I mean, my list does purposely, like I do have a Storm Raven in my Ultras list. And I mean, the Storm Raven letting me basically drop it wherever I want and sort of guarantee the charge takes away some of the real negativeness, I guess, negativeness, the real worry of playing that unit, maybe, right? You see what I'm trying to say? But is it 160 points worth it when, like, if it's running across the board for 2 turns to get to the enemy, then I think it's not worth 160 points. Not for Blood Angels anyway, because you could just take like 10 Assault Intercessors and you could hide them for the same amount of points, and they'll, I mean, 10 Assault Intercessors are probably going to outdamage the Brutalis Dreadnought, right? I would think with their 45 odd chainsword attacks, they will probably outdamage it. But the only thing they're maybe not going to outdamage is if you go into like toughness 12, maybe. Then the Brutalis is the winner. And the Brutalis has only got AP 2 as well. I mean, that's a big negative. Like, why is its AP so low? Like, I'm pretty sure the Fist on the Redemptor Dreadnought used to have higher AP than AP 2, right? I think this is 9th edition Codex Space Marines. Let me see. Yeah, the Redemptor Dreadnought's Fist used to be... Here it is. It used to be 2 times strength. So it used to be strength 14, AP 3, D3 plus 3. If the Brutalis still had this, then sure, I think it would be fucking awesome. Yeah, 160 points, take it. But like, is it a victim of like what we talked about? Like, it came out early in the edition. Early in the edition, they were trying to make things less lethal, and like now in the edition, they don't give a shit about less lethal anymore, and everything's just strong as fuck. But yeah, I mean, if the Brutalis was hitting at strength 14 with AP 3 and D3 plus 3, then yeah, I'd be like, yeah, that's 160 points. Yeah, I mean, it's going to die a lot, but when it gets in, like, holy shit, it's going to do some damage, right? The Redemptor Fist was so good last edition. I don't know why I had it in my head that it was D6 last edition. But maybe I just had it in my head that it was it could do 6. That was probably what was in my head. I remember the Redemptor Fist being awesome last edition, right? Like, it was so good. The Redemptor was so good last edition. Even though its plasma was super unreliable, it just meant that if it ever got in combat, it was always dealing damage, it was always doing big stuff. I was going to say, let's pour one out for the Redemptor Fist. Like, what a great weapon. Now it's kind of very, very average. And why AP2, man? Even that 1 point in AP would make a huge difference, I feel like. Redemptors are just too expensive, I agree. 210 points is bonkers. They shouldn't be 210 points. I've got 3 of them. I even tried running them in some of the other detachments. They're not good. They're too expensive. I mean, I guess, like, they're another unit that came out early in the edition, and I think early in the edition they were paying a premium for the -1 damage. And I feel like the -1 damage isn't nearly as meaningful as it once was as well. I don't know, I've tried to run a Redemptor Dreadnought, I think 3 times this edition, and I've never once felt it was good. I think I even did a list where I had... Yeah, I definitely did a list where I had 2 of them. I don't know if I ever tried 3 of them, but yeah, I definitely don't feel they've been good this edition. Which is a little bit sad, because I kind of hate it when they bring out new Primaris models. Aggressors spring to mind as well, where it's like a new Primaris model that almost has no play because it's just got poor rules. And they try and fix it with points, and the points put it into obscurity. I mean, that's what happened with the Desolation Marines as well, right? The Desolation Marines should have probably had a valid status, like a data sheet update, not a points update. Because I bet you, if you change some of what they could do, like if you reduce the amount of indirect fire they had or something, they could probably be quite playable. Yeah, I painted one of my Redemptors in Death Company colours, man, and honestly, it's one of my coolest, favouriteest dreadnoughts. And yeah, it feels sad that it's been it just feels sad that there's been so neglected, or however you want to look at it, I guess. How do I feel about the Sanguinar and Angelic Inheritors? I think you can use them in Angelic Inheritors. I honestly don't think you should use them in Lag. Like, I every week I see people tell me you should use the Sanguinar in Lag. And I've played him in Lag, I've played against him in Lag, and I just think he's bad in Lag. Like, he just doesn't have enough attacks, he doesn't have enough strength, he doesn't have any rerolls. And too often in Lag, he underperforms. In Inheritors, he is much better because his hit rate goes from 83% to like 97%. 97% is a chance to hit when you're rerolling once, and you hit on 2s. So straight away his hit roll is super more viable, and his wound rolls are all much better as well. So I think in Inheritors he will actually kill stuff. Like, I think in Inheritors I brought him in against one of those stupid 100-point plague drones for the Death Guard. And 1 round of combat, he just killed it. He just did the 10 wounds it needed to kill that thing. I think 6 of them were mortal, so maybe I spiked a few 6s. But yeah, I think in Angelic Inheritors, sure, run the Sanguinar. I think he's totally fine. In Liberator Assault Group, please don't run him. Please don't tell me he's good, because he's not good in Liberator Assault Group. Because I literally played at him against a tournament, and he killed 1 fucking model. And I'm like, it's 140 points to kill 1 model. It's not worth it. Master of Dolphins says, "Hey John, just watched your video on Vanguard Veterans and Jump Pack Intercessors. It's a great take overall, but I think you undervalued the Vanguard Veterans shooting, especially in 10-man when it's 10 plasmas." Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is if you go for the 10 pistols, right, then you have no survivability over the Jump Pack Intercessors. And will your 10 plasma pistols outperform the mortal wounds of the Jump Pack Intercessors? Because if they can't outperform that, you know, like, use Death Shroud, for example, right? Like, if you charge Death Shroud with jump back intercessors, you do 5 mortal wounds. If you shoot 10 plasma pistols at Death Shroud, you hit on 3s, so you got 6.6 hits. You wound on 3s, so you got 4.4 wounds. They save on 2.2. Sorry. You got 4.4. They save on 50%, because they've got 4 up invuln, so you do 2.2. So your 10 plasma pistols, statistically into Death Shroud, do 4.4 damage, right? So if we agree that Death Shroud are difficult to deal with, if that's a unit you're using to calculate against Master Dolphin, then the Vanguard Veterans are worse. And here's the other thing. The Vanguard Veterans would need to be seen by the Death Shroud to shoot them with their pistols, right? And if they are seen, then they can be overwatched with about 6 or 7 D6 flamers. Whereas the jump intercessors will charge from an obscured position, so they can't be overwatched. So it's like, I'm all for units being useful. I'm all for finding ways for Vanguard Veterans to be useful, and maybe the best way they are useful is with 10 pistols, and you are doing something with those 10 pistols. Like, maybe that is the most useful way to play them. I'm just saying the units I'm having trouble dealing with, they don't help me deal with them, right? Like, I have horrendous trouble in Blood Angels dealing with Death Shroud Terminators. If you're playing Death Guard at the moment, you know that most lists have got, like, most Death Guard lists have at least 6, maybe 12 of those Death Shroud. Hell, some lists even have 18. And you cannot be seen by them, right? Because their Overwatch is deadly as fuck against Marines. I mean, that's why Ultramarines do really well against Death Guard, because Ultramarines just sit 24 inches away and just go, haha, I will shoot you. And I don't need to be overwatched by your stupid 7d6 flamers that are... Those flamers can also be twin-linked, I think. And you're usually in contagion range, which makes you -1 toughness, and you've got -1 to your save, and it's just bad news after bad news after bad news, the Death Guard flamers, I feel like. Stern Guard are great. Vanguard Veterans with Storm Shields as action monkeys. Yeah, I said that I think there is a way to play those death. Like, I think if we just compare them against Jump Intercessors, the Jump Intercessors are probably just a little bit more versatile, a little bit more useful. But it's not like I said, don't ever take the Vanguard Veterans. I'm just saying you have to be careful. If you're expecting them to be a unit of Jump Intercessors, they are not that, right? Jump Intercessors will outdamage them every time in melee. And also, like I said, Jump Intercessors can do their mortal wounds without being seen. Where, like, you cannot be seen by Death Shroud. That's one of the biggest problems. Turn the Vanguard Veterans into a 3-man squad and give them 3 wounds. Does that help us, dude? Because fucking... It feels like every weapon in the meta at the moment has 3 wounds, Andrew. Every army seems to have access to 3 damage except us. Well, I mean, we have it on our Dreadnoughts, but like I said, I think most people wanted it on our jump units, not the Dreadnoughts. I miss Thunderhammers when they had 3 damage. I think they have to be led by a specific character for the Flamers to be twin-linked, but they can definitely have it. Yeah, Thunderhammers with devastating wounds has never quite worked out. I think how Games Workshop hoped it might work out. Like they've just been very underwhelming 2 damage Thunderhammers. If you know when they released Thunderhammers at the start of the edition at 2 damage, that's when they were talking about that less lethal thing. Like I was expecting other armies to get a lot of their damage like changed into 2 damage and stuff, like more uniform numbers, I guess, for damage. But yeah, it didn't really happen. Lord of Vigilance allows them to reroll wounds in their range attack. Yeah, I knew there was something that they could do that. Less Killian, less rerolls. Yeah, they said that as well, right? Less rerolls. That really... Yeah. Fucking Plague Marines with reroll all hits and wounds, man. God, those Plague Marines are so obnoxious. The only thing that I've seen survive the Plague Marines, and ironically, was the fucking Storm Raven. I really love how that Storm Raven can have -1 to hit, -1 to wound, and -1 damage, and Armor of Contempt. Like, it's pretty cool. So, for my next GT, I am taking a Storm Raven. I'm taking Stormlance, I'm taking this guy right here. We're calling him... I don't actually really know what we're calling him. I'm going to have a name. We're going to have to figure out a name for this model. But he's basically my proxy for either Gilliman or the Lion. I feel bad for my orc friend who gets like no AP outside a really expensive... Yeah. Orc choppers are not what they once were, huh? Strength 4 EP 1 or something. What's in the Storm Raven? In my list, 10 Hellblasters attached to Lieutenant for lethal hits. A Tech Marine's in there as well for basically an action monkey, and also he is going to disembark after the Storm Raven moves with a view to repair it. Because I'm basically gonna pop that stratagem on it to try and keep it alive every time. Every shooting phase I'm just gonna try and pop that stratagem on it. So Brutalis Dreadnought, 10 Hellblasters, a Lieutenant, and a Tech Marine. I did consider putting an Apothecary in with the Hellblasters, because that would let me res the Hellblasters. But I think I like the idea of having the Tech Marine, because the Tech Marine can give me +1 to hit, so if I get profiled I can still hit pretty good. And the Tech Marine also is a lone operative, which means you can do some actions. Call him Steve. We could call him Steve. This model is what I was hoping the Sanguinar was going to be, right? Like a centerpiece for the Blood Angels. Like that's what I wanted. I'll keep wishing for that. Maybe they'll finally give us a centerpiece model, you know? Please, Games Workshop, please. You should call him Little E. Okay. Or Little G. How about that? Or Little S. He's like Little Sanguinius. Alright, so texture paint is done. I need to do some more in this base though. I'm just going to be slapping on some Zandri dust, I think. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with this guy's base because there's lots of detail on it. But having thought about it, I am just going to slap Zandri dust over the whole thing, and then I'll come back and pick out all the detail that I want to pick out afterwards. This way at least the base will look like it has not just been forgotten about or neglected or whatever we're talking about, right? Blood Angels should have a centerpiece. Yeah, I mean, I would like a centerpiece model. I mean, Dante was a pretty cool model. Like, he felt much bigger, obviously, and he felt, like, I really enjoyed doing Dante. I mean, I must admit I haven't done Lamartes and I haven't done Astaroth because I haven't really been playing them. So I built Astaroth, but I haven't done anything with him. He's just sitting in a drawer. And as far as Lamartes, I haven't been playing him either. He's like, I don't even have my new Lamartes off the sprue. So if I was going to need to play Astaroth or Lamartes at the moment, I'm probably going to play my Firstborn model and stick him on a bigger base, right? But yeah, like I did enjoy the size of Dante. It's just nice to have a change, really, I feel like. Less ball gag. Yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down to it's nice to have a change. So yeah, it would be really nice to have a centerpiece model that's big. Plus, like, when you're trying to balance the game and you've got one faction that doesn't have that centerpiece, I think they probably actually make it harder to balance by not having the centerpiece. Like, if everybody else is getting centerpiece, like Angron is coming, Magnus is coming. There's a lot of rumors about Lehman Russ is coming. The Lions just come. Like, everybody's at some point, everybody's gonna have a centerpiece, I guess, except us, right? So. Morgan Val for the sisters, you know, that's a new one. Newish, anyway. When did Morgan Val come out? 9th edition, maybe? I mean, the sisters also have that thing for St. Catherine. Is it St. Catherine, yeah? The big, like, 18 wound thing with all the sisters on it. Iron Hands. Yeah, I think you get, like... We're literally getting a Primarch model every year or so, right? You give it another 10 years, there'll be like 5 more Primarchs. And it'll be... Admech have call, yeah. I mean, I guess we just have to see. I guess for now, I was actually kind of hoping we might get a bit of an end of edition season, like the Arcs of Omen. You know, where we last edition, when Arcs of Omen came out, we got to do all sorts of weird stuff, right? Like you could ally in Guilliman with Blood Angels. That was pretty cool. What else could you do last edition with Arcs of Omen? Was it just mainly that you could ally in the Primarchs? I mean, that... Yeah, it changes things up a bit. Gives you some options, lets you buy a new model. I think with the new box, though, like the 11th edition box set, I'm not going to be as precious as I maybe was up until now, right? Like in the 11th edition box set, if there's a chapter that's like batshit crazy, let's just say 11th edition comes out and let's use Iron Hands. Yeah, let's use Iron Hands, because if historically there's every edition, the Iron Hands at some point are broken as shit, right? Like they were broken in 8th, they were broken in 9th, they were definitely broken in 8th. I don't actually remember if they were broken in 9th. But they were definitely broken in 10th for a while. So I think what I'm going to do with the new book, like 11th edition, like next summer, is like if something comes out and it's super broken and it's super powerful, I'm probably going to play it. I'm probably going to try and win a tournament with it. Because I think I want to do more with Space Marines than just Blood Angels. Like Blood Angel, like I'm still painting everything in Blood Angels. I'm still primarily a Blood Angels player. But like if something comes out in 11th edition where it's like, oh my god, Ironstorm is just the bomb, then I'm probably going to be like, right, let me build an Ironstorm list and let's play it. Hello, Grain of Truth. I feel like Primarch should be limited to Onslaught games. I do think they should probably do something in the competitive scene. Like, I thought, Phil, what might be cool, and this is probably controversial, is in competitive play, it should maybe be a rule of 2 rather than a rule of 3. So, for example, people that are taking 3 Vindicator tanks, they can only take 2. People are taking 3 Forge Fiends, they can only take 2. People are taking 3 Squads of Death Shroud, they can only take 2. Like, it's going to be it's a controversial opinion, But I think if you want a better, more balanced game, a more competitive game, then why are you letting people spam 3 of the best units? Why not force people to use more of the codex? Would that not balance it better? But I think I'm probably the only person that thinks that. Like, no one else has said that. Every time I've said it, someone's like, John, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. So I'm like, here's the thing, I'm allowed to have my opinion even if it's wrong. Well, in your case, your units are battle line, Phil. You're allowed to take, you would still be allowed to take your 40 assault intercessors. Ironically, I don't actually think 40 assault intercessors is unbalanced, right? Like, I think that's fine. I think that's you being quirky. I don't think that's you trying to be I think if you're taking 40 assault intercessors, that's not as bad as like spamming 18 Sangre Guard, right? Like, I think that's on a completely different level. Like, you're just taking a baseline troop. That would be like taking 4 tactical squads, right? If someone takes 4 tactical squads, no one's going, oh, you took 4 tactical squads, that's not fair. You know, like, they're just bog standard troops. You'd have to change your channel name to primarily BA Commander. No, I don't. BA can stand for badass. It could stand for bland Astartes. It could stand for boring Astartes. It could stand for boring ass. It could stand for, I don't know, right? Like, there's lots of things it could stand for. It definitely doesn't stand for Blood Angels anymore because I changed it. Big Anus, yeah, I mean, it could stand for Big Anus. I changed it from Blood Angel. Do you remember when Games Workshop were like suing all the people that had like Warhammer names in their channel names and stuff? This is ages ago now. Because there was a channel called like Arch Warhammer. I don't know what his channel's called anymore actually. But Broadly Astartes, there you go, thank you. Broadly Astartes. Yeah, when Games Workshop were suing everyone for having like the name quote-unquote Warhammer in their channel or something like that, at that point my channel was called Blood Angels Commander. The URL was Blood Angels Commander, the logo said Blood Angels Commander, and I was like, I don't know fuck all about legal, and I sure as fuck can't afford a lawyer, so I just went in and like changed my logo to BA Commander, renamed the channel to BA Commander, took everything. So I've probably still called it Blood Angels Commander a bunch of times, but like, it's just been BA Commander for like years at this point. Like, I moved into this house 3.5 years ago, and it was before then. So I've actually not been the Blood Angels Commander for at least 3.5 years, maybe 4 years. So the channel was probably only like 1 year old when I changed the name of it, because I was like, well, when the channel was 1 year old, I didn't have any, I was basically making no income for it, and if I got sued, I would have probably just had to close the channel down. So I was like, I don't really want to lose my channel, so Brother Astartes, there you go. There's so many options. Thanks, guys. I don't think it's branching out to play competitively. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm wanting to do is just cover more really strong stuff, right? Like, for example, like I've been playing Stormlands these last couple of weeks, and it's been quite refreshing, and it's been quite different, and it's also been quite strong. And like, if you're getting, like, because I only play Blood Angels, if I'm getting frustrated with something and I see something else being super strong, like I've basically limited myself and be like, well, I don't play that. Well, last edition I bought a bunch of Black Templar models, right? And I did the same thing, right? Like, just over here I've got Helbreck. You know, like, here's Blood Angels Helbreck from last edition. Remember when Helbreck was really strong? I like cut off the top of his banner the thing and put on a Blood Angel thing, put on a Blood Angel thing here, put on a Blood Angel thing here. So this, he's covered in dust now, because I haven't done anything with him. I need to give him a spray dust. But I was starting to work on like a Blood Angels Helbreck last edition. I didn't actually realize he had the same size base as Gilliman. Holy shit. Wow, maybe, well, I mean, I probably did have to buy Gilliman. You know, he is actually almost as tall. That's crazy. But anyway, yeah. So last edition I was doing Helbrecht with the Black Templars, right? He's got gold pants. Yeah, I was painting him gold. That's usually what I do with characters. Probably is gold, right? So yeah, I'm gonna paint, like, over time. I'm just gonna keep, like, I'm just gonna keep collecting. Cotton, good afternoon. Thanks so much for becoming a member of 9 months. I do appreciate it. Yeah, over time I'm just gonna keep collecting. I'm gonna collect all the different Astaris, I think. So that Elder army that I bought in the... Because I bought a painted Elder army. I'm going to sell it. If anyone wants to buy an Elder army, it's like 5,500 points of Eldar. I'm selling it. I'm not playing it. That idea... Like, I wanted a sec... I mean, I've still got 1,000 Sun models. I wanted a second army. But I think what realistically my second army is going to be is just Astartes. More Astartes. Different chapters, different factions, different detachments. So yeah, I'm going to sell the Eldar. I think they're cool. Make a Blood Angels Logan. If you show me a cool Logan model... You're talking about Logan from X-Men, right? Would be like a character with dual lightning claws, essentially. We don't really get any characters anymore that can have lightning claws, do we? Or do we? Can we actually take any character at the moment that has lightning claws? Is that even a thing anymore? I actually don't know. Join the Wolves. The Wolves are difficult though, man, because they're all specific models, right? I mean, Black Templars are easy. In terms of, like, if you've already got a Blood Angels army, like, a lot of the units can just, like, duo. Ultramarines are easy because I've got all the Ultramarines units from all the starter box sets. Space Wolves are much harder to do that with. At least that's how I feel. Yeah, I'm not talking about Murder Fang. I'm talking about, like, Blood Angels characters that can have lightning claws. I don't think there is any. Maybe... Can even a captain have a lightning claw? But yeah, so the person I bought the Elder army off gave me a really good deal. So I basically said to them, if I sell it for any more than I paid for it, I'll give you the difference. Because I didn't buy it to make profit off of it. I bought it to play Eldar, but realistically I feel like I don't have time to learn Eldar. So now I've got, I think I've got 3 Black Templar characters, I've got 3 Ultramarines characters. Maybe next I need to get a couple of Dark Angels characters. And then I'll have a bit of all the different, like, core... Space Marine options. But for the short term anyway, like, nothing is going to change, right? I'm still going to make Blood Angels tactics videos every week. Maybe things will change a little bit when 11th edition comes out. Maybe I'll look more broadly at Space Marines. Bloody awful, Commander. Thanks. Thanks. Daniel, I don't know, when fortunately I've got thick skin. If I didn't, I'd be Strike is a good model. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna buy any like, if there's only one model, right? Like if we're talking like Ravenwing, where there's literally one Primaris Lieutenant or one Primaris character, or Iron Hands like Ferris. Like, I don't know if I'm doing that. I think at the moment, I think this happened to me last edition, right? Last edition, at the end of the edition, I was playing Guilliman and Blood Angels. I was having a lot of fun. It was different. It felt different. And I think if you play the same army for a whole edition, certainly sometimes you want a little bit of a change. And I know if I'm doing, like, I've watched other people's battle reports, and you can, like, see if you're watching someone on YouTube, you can tell if they're not enjoying it, right? Like, so, Space Marine Commander incoming. I mean, I'm just gonna do more, I think, next edition with the Space Marines. I think that's the goal. Like, to get my teeth into more... Because, like, there's 6 or 7 detachments that I never even touched this edition. I never played Firstborn. Sorry, never played First Company. Never played Firestorm. Never played Anvil. I don't actually think I ever played... What was the other one? Vanguard? Don't think I ever played Vanguard. So maybe Jump Pack Intercessors with OC2 is cool. How do you get OC2 in Jump Pack Intercessors? Sorry. I played like at the start of the edition. Remember at the start of the edition when the Blood Angels book was really, really poor? I played Gladius for 6 months. I went to a tournament with Gladius actually. That was when I ran the I ran a list with, like, I think it was 21 Gravis Marines. A Blood Angels list with 21 Gravis Marines. I actually did really well with that list. It was very, very close to very, very close to getting 4-1 with that list. I think that was, I would think I was a single dice roll away from 4-1, and that was when my fucking Librarian Dreadnought needed to make a teleport, and he rolled a 1. The one time in the whole tournament I roll a 1 for the teleport is the one that's going to get me 4-1, of course. Damn Librarian. I didn't play Bloodless Angels, no. I didn't actually like Bloodless Angels, and the reason I didn't like Bloodless Angels was I knew as soon as it was being done, I was like, well, that's going to fuck Blood Angels for a whole data slate. Because Games Workshop are going to think we're fine, because Bloodless Angels is going to pull the win rate up massively. And Blood Angels will be in a really shit situation, but because they've got data showing Blood Angels getting lots of wins from Bloodless Angels, they'll think everything's fine. And that's exactly what happened, right? Like, we had a whole data slate where nothing changed, and Blood Angels are just getting murderized by everybody. We've got one of the lowest win rates in the game. And they took away Bloodless Angels, and then they're like, oh, Blood Angels have like a 40% win rate. And I was like, well, no shit, because everybody was using Bloodless Angels. People weren't actually using the Blood Angels models, right? Like, it was so obvious to me that that was going to happen. And I mean, that's one of the reasons I didn't play Bloodless Angels. I didn't want to compound the fact that, like, the rest of our book or the rest of our choices are going to get nerfed because of fucking Bloodless Angels, man. Because a lot of the decisions seem to just be on win rate, right? Like, we've talked about it a lot, where, like, things don't necessarily get fixed; they just get points thrown at them. And like, while changing points sometimes does help. Like, it doesn't really address any of the problems, right? Like, the recent points changes for Blood Angels are a good example, right? Like, Blood Angels, everything went down in points, right? Well, everything went down in points. I still got absolutely slaughtered by Death Guard, right? Like the game I had against Death Guard is the worst game of 40k I've ever played. I got beaten 80 points to 30 points or something. Like, it was embarrassing how bad I got beat, right? They really do need to fix the sheets. Yeah, I mean, that's why the advocate for digital rules always comes up, right? Or the advocate is the wrong word. That's why the argument for digital rules always comes up, because with digital rules you could fix those things. And you could probably change rules quicker with digital rules as well. Seems like a Death Guard problem as opposed to Blood Angels problem. I mean, I think Death Guard are gonna get some points nerfs, but I think the issue I have with the points nerfs is like the timescales are a bit all over the place. But I'm pretty much out of time because I can hear my kids downstairs. So I'm going to be going in just like 2 minutes. But you know, I think Death Guard will get some points changes, but like I don't think. I mean, I think Death Guard counter Blood Angels. Like they're at a point in the meta where they counter Blood Angels very, very well. Right? Like if you, all the Death Guard attachments are probably very strong against Blood Angels. The contagion is like we just typically have to be within contagion range, and the contagion range is lethal as hell to us, right? And points changes don't address balance issues. I mean, Death Shroud Terminators will be really interesting, right? Because they're a good example where like Death Shroud Terminators have so many good rules. So if history tells us anything, Death Shroud Terminators will get such a bump in points that they'll not even be able to be played. And I mean, what, like, that will fix problems, right? Like, let's say Death Shroud Terminators got 20 points per squad or something, and no one's running them anymore. But isn't that just the same problem that we're bitching about, saying like points changes doesn't fix anything. It just takes a unit and either nerfs it into obscurity or gets it on the tabletop because it's cheap. It doesn't actually fix any balance stuff, right? I understand points are easy to change, I get that. So I mean, that's why the sort of common denominator is change points, because it's easy to change and it can balance the game much quicker than, let's say, like datasheet changes. But hey, every edition has been better than the last of recent years, right? Like, I would say 10th edition is better than 9th, 9th is probably better than 8th. So maybe 11th will be better again, and at some point I'll have nothing to talk about because everything will be perfect and there'll be no balance issues. Like, that could happen, right? Could happen. It won't happen though, but it could happen. In an alternative universe, it's happened already. Ever think about that? In the space-time continuum, it's already happened somewhere. If you believe in alternative universes, I mean, seems like a pretty well discussed theory in like common science fiction, right? Maybe in an alternative universe, Sanguinius lived. It was Gilliman that got spiked by Horus. Alex believes in a thing called love. Are the Darkness even still playing, Alex? Seems like a long time since I've heard anything about the Darkness. Feels like a long time since I've heard any music except that one song by the Darkness. Every time GW tries to change abilities, the same results kind of happen. Either people are pissed that an ability was lost, or a unit gets shelved and is broken. Yeah, it's probably just a never-ending swing of balance. Hey, it gives me something to talk about every week. Every time a unit goes down in points, every time a unit goes up in points, we can talk about it. We can see if it's worth taking or if it's worth not taking. I do think I do think data sheet changes would be better, but I guess they would take more work, and that is the ultimate question. Like, is there enough time with all the releases that they have to actually do meaningful data sheet changes? I don't know. Okay, right, I better run. We're never satisfied as 40k players. Yeah, well, in an ironic way, not being satisfied keeps you guys tuning into me and me having something to talk about. Because if everything was perfectly balanced, what the fuck would we talk about? Why would you watch me? You'd be like, oh, John, you know, everything's balanced. We don't need to speak to you. We don't need to watch you. I love it, Phil. Yeah, I mean, I love it as well, right? Like, I love Warhammer. I feel like I just want to do more. I want to keep growing my Blood Angels army, but I want to add characters from every main Space Marine faction to this army to make it bigger, to give myself more options, to give myself more stuff to cover. Because I think at some point this edition, and it'll happen again next edition, there'll be a period where I'll have nothing to talk about, right? Like, we only had 11 units in our codex this edition, right? Like, it's pretty hard to make content every week when you only have 11 units in your codex to talk about. And for a while there, and even now, the Death Company units are kind of they're kind of shit, right? So I've only got 11 units to talk about, and 5 of them, the 5 Death Company ones, for at least the last 2 years have been shit. They're better now, you can at least feel the Death Company captain and stuff like that, right? But yeah, so you may see a bleed of me doing some other... well, I'm doing Stormlands for the next month. So bottom line, I'm doing Stormlands for the next month. If you would watch the Stormlands videos, I'd appreciate it. If you don't want to watch them, you don't want to watch them. I guess I can't help it. I'm doing Stormlands for a month. I've got a GT... How many weeks away is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 weeks today I'm at a GT. I'm taking Ultramarine Stormlands. I'm taking a Stormraven. I'm taking Hellblasters. Do you know what? I'll throw together a video on why I'm playing Stormlands. Because it's interesting, and it lets me play a lot of units that I've had for a lot. Like, I've had this fucking Dreadnought for ages. He doesn't work in Blood Angels. He works pretty well in Stormlands, right? He's actually really good in Stormlands. Multi-Meltas are apparently really good in Stormlands. So, where can I see the Stormlands list? I'll put out a video this week on Stormlands. It's not going to be the main tactics video, but I'll put out a small video where I just go over my Stormlands list, like a half-an-hour video. I'll just put the list up on my on the Warhammer app or whatnot, and I'll talk about it for half an hour. So I'll put that out this week and tell you guys why I'm playing it and why I think it's fun and why it's different. But have a great afternoon. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you sometime probably pretty soon. So that's that. Take care. Thanks again. Good afternoon, guys. Peace.